Welcome to you all. It's my pleasure to be here. Today, the world is talking about its failure to meet the environmental obligations or commitment they had done towards climate change in Glasgow right now. And Delhi, the India's capital, is also talking about and debating upon the nuisance of winter pollution here. All these debates are around scientific, economic, social, as well as political implications and reason around it. But the discussion has remained just a discussion, but not a solution on the ground. India is facing the challenge of the development where it has 1.4 billion population to feed upon. But at the same time, it also has to ensure the environmental quality. That is the fundamental of sustainable development. What does it need? It needs the good environmental governance for any country. The good environmental governance ensures that socio-economic development of a country, along with its people to have the health and safety in place, as well as a livable environment. We do have a multiple regulation. We have environmental governance system well established, but still the pollution in air is increasing. River water pollution is increasing. Water scarcity is a concern, as well as the waste we generate is mounting upon. Why this situation is, while we do have multiple regulations and environmental governance system in place, I would like to share some fundamental problems what this governance system has and where we need to improve. One of the biggest point to consider here is our environmental governance system doesn't even know right now which area of this country is capable to support what kind of industry and how many. How does it make sense? Consider with an example of a classroom having the capacity of 30 students. What will happen if we force 60 students to sit in that? We have constraint of sitting space. We have problem in breathing in that a suffocated area. We will have problem in interacting with the students. The entire system goes wrong despite the fact that every student needs just one seat. What we are missing is the capacity of that area. We ignore. That is what happening in this country. We do not know what the capacity of any region or any zone or any area in this country is. Industry or any developmental projects comes into the country is to follow these certain norms. The industry, the project may follow and may comply to the norm it has been given with, but collectively, along with all the industries in the area already there or are coming up, put extreme pressure beyond the carrying and bearing capacity of that area. Pollution is evident. One of the fundamental change behind the pollution is it also leads to the unequitable development. One area gets many industries, many developmental projects, while other areas remains devoid of that. People migrates, settles here in the area to find a job, livelihood, and put more pressure again on transport, on water requirement, on an electricity requirement, the pollution happens. This is what the situation of Delhi is and the reason behind it. Another one of the important factor behind it is the clearance system. Any industry or any development project comes in the country, it requires environmental clearance. We still follow the conventional environmental clearance system, which we are popularly known as environmental impact assessment, where the proponent has to discuss about and assess the project's implication in that area and how it will handle it. It forgets and grossly misses the point that beside this plant, beside this project, there are multiple projects in the area. What would be the cumulative capacity if the area will be able to bear that or support that development as well? We completely miss on that. There is no fixed and standard guideline then how to analyze, what method to be used, so that there should be a uniformity, there should be comparativity. Beside that, to study all those things, you need data related to the environment, related to the water, related to the wildlife and all. All these data are there with the different government departments. To the surprise, all these data are always outdated. and are with the departments which are never been into the coordination. So these numbers, this analysis are not able to be cross-checked. You will not able to put it in relevance with the current situation. What happens, this remains on the paper and doesn't work on the ground, doesn't give the exact picture what happens because of that industry or any developmental project. All this system is the conventional, might not be relevant at this point of time. And this is leading to number of increasing critically polluted areas in this country. In 1989, the pollution control boards came together and identified nearly 24 critically polluted areas. Action plans were made to improve that. After 20 years in 2009, again, this study was done. This time, 43 critically polluted areas were identified. Out of 43, to the surprise, those all 24 areas were still in the list. So it clearly says that 20 years of work, actions, they all didn't work on the ground, or the process we took was not good enough. So the critically polluted areas are increasing, and these numbers are continuously increasing to our surprise. We must have to ensure first the system which is already in place. Environmental impact assessment has to move from environment particular project only to consider into cumulative or strategic impact development, environmental assessment, as well as we also have to prepare a map, zonal or regional map of carrying capacity in that area. Beside this, while these critically polluted areas are already there in the system, we have to fix strict measures and action plan to improve the situation. By the time, there should be no development and expansion of any project in that. One thing which is the system continuously missing, the areas which are already on the verge of getting critically polluted, or you can say is on the red light, must be stopped getting entered into the critically polluted groups. They should be prohibited, and the precautionary approach should be taken to that. While you see we are improving already critically polluted areas, the system should improve that no new areas get critically polluted. To coordinate this, to do all this, there are hands in every state, which is state pollution control boards. To the surprise, the system, since the inception of state pollution control board, no government till date has done any adequate step to improve the capacity or increase the skilled manpower in the system. Understand from the point that if a skilled environmental pollution control board official has to visit one industry, inspect one industry, ideally it should be for 3 months or every 6 months. If not, then 1 year. If it has to done once in a year to visit that plant, do the inspection, prepare the report, analyze the report, and submit the report, which needs at least 4 or 5 days, the person gets less than 1 day. From the simple statistics, number of the skilled professionals available, and the number of industries. This system, this simple statistics says the system is not working. We have to improve from that. How do we improve? We certainly have to strengthen the manpower and to train them, build their capacity to with the new information, new technology, so that they adequately regulate and guide the industries as well. The system needs a better change, need to understand the new technology to be used in the process for the transparency, for system to working well despite having the limited capacity. Have to promote best technology, best practices that happens in the world in the industry to make it more efficient. At the same time, has to improve the transparency between the local stakeholders, industry, and regulators. All these things are required. Best technology and best practices should be certainly encouraged in the industry so that they become more efficient, competitive on the global platform. It is not the time that the industry keeps competing with the peers in India. Now, India has to compete on the global platform. It has to perform beyond that level. So these new technology practices is good to compare with their peers on the global level and perform well. This technology also helps to make the system transparent. The regulators can use those technology. For example, in the India, we have now the real-time monitoring, have online environmental clearance system, renewal system. For example, environmental monitoring and reporting system we have right now is monitoring the data of pollution and sending directly to the regulator. It can also be visible to the stakeholders. But till date, even it has happened 7 years now, the government still has to come forward and make this data transparent to the public to build the trust among the people, industry, and regulator. This distrust is already there, and an ideal system cannot work with the distrust of among the stakeholders. They should go off, and the data has to be make it public to bring awareness, and this transparency also improve the responsibility, reliability, and credibility of the industry, which is must. Best technology will improve the operational excellence, and all this will lead industry and any project to perform well. One, we should not miss that beyond this, we need to understand and foresee the future of livelihood and business, which is sustainable, responsible, and ethical development, ethical process of way. Our industry or any project development or our life, we need to understand has to be sustainable now. If we see that global players, global conglomerates, and leading industries in the world is talking about net zero, phasing out fossil fuel. Are these charity? Not at all. These are the strategic thought. They are forcing the future of the business which is coming. India has to understand this. We need to foresee the future of the business well in time. Then it is good that we will lead and we will compete on that platform. And at the same time, we will excel with the pace with the world. All these changes are not just the systematic changes. These are the changes of the culture. These are the changes in the behavior and the attitude. So these changes need to tell us how we think, how we act and react. The government has certainly to think and go beyond that command and control approach. The command and control that the industry has a regulation or norm you have to follow, or if you do not follow, you will be punished. Does this improve the system? No, this command and control has to go. The system has to improve, evolve, has to tell industry and encourage industry to self-regulate, self-perform. Industry has also follow those roadmap. It doesn't need a push. Now it will self-lead towards the improvement. And as the consumer, which has an important role to play, being aware, we also need to see and we need to understand and learn responsible living, how much to eat, how much to consume, how much to waste, and what. This is the way of sustainable living. And that with the environmental governance system, environmental and sustainable way of living in a combination makes it work. I think all these things I'm saying make sense. Thank you very much.